jabbed into me as of late. Needles, pills, advice. The tree was the least painful, both to my body and heart. I blinked away tears that suddenly threatened, and wiped my hands across my eyes, brushing the traitorous emotion away. All to my immediate regret. My hands were covered in pollen from pushing the broom out of my way. Son of a donkey's ass, I'm an idiot, I muttered as I blinked furiously, doing my best to keep the tears flowing in a vain effort to rinse my eyes. I couldn't seem to escape my most recent past. No matter what I did these days, there was always something to remind me of how broken I was. The doctors didn't know why we were having such a hard time not only getting pregnant, but carrying a child to term. The latest miscarriage made me feel like it was my fault. As if a perfect confirmation that it was my body that refused to hang on to a child, that there was something intrinsically wrong with me. Of course, no one said it out loud. Maybe the fear was all in my head. At least that's what one of the doctors had said when we were in the hospital, and he'd been taking what was left of our baby from me. My throat tightened, and it had nothing to do with the plants around me causing a reaction. I couldn't stop my mind from spinning backward through all the things we'd tried to help us get pregnant. Reiki, acupuncture, weight loss, vitamins, detoxes, fertility medicine. Anything I could find on the internet, I tried in desperation. The cost of fertility pills wasn't much, and they were what allowed us to even get pregnant the last 2 times. When we finally looked into IVF, the cost? Well, the cost of in vitro fertilization was close to $15,000. And that's if it worked the first time around and we didn't need to use it again. And again. Not to mention, we had nothing left in our savings account after buying the house. If I'd known we would have to be looking at IVF, I wouldn't have agreed to the move at all. We could always buy a house in the future. There were only so many years that I could potentially have a child. Maybe we just weren't meant to have a baby. Maybe there was something wrong with us that... I sneezed again and rubbed my nose with the back of my hand. The minor explosion jarred me out of my thoughts. Hurry up, woman. I told Dan we'd be there 10 minutes ago. Last thing I want is to upset the neighbors. Sebastian's voice was even farther ahead now. Wonderful. Just what I wanted, to rush through the broom, taking even more blows to my sensitive skin, eyes, and nose. Yeah, I'm coming, oh white knight of mine, who considers a walk in the broom a nice time out for his highly allergic wife, I yelled back. I wasn't angry with him. Not really. This was part of the way he dealt with his own grief. It was the same when his father and brother died in the boating accident. At least, that was what his mother shared with me the night before on the phone. Mara, he didn't know how to handle the pain, so he just buckled down and moved on. Bastian is all about pushing forward and not looking behind. Honey, he's trying to help you in his own way, if you'll let him. She sighed softly. I'm sorry. I wish you two didn't have these troubles. Don't worry. There will be more babies. I'd hung up on her at that point. Why was it people thought having more babies made the loss of this one any less? No, I wasn't about to go there. Not today. I shook my head and deliberately took my thoughts back to Sebastian. Even with his push forward and don't look back motto, he'd sweated the whole way across the Georgia Strait. The main transport on or off Vancouver Island was the BC ferries. It didn't seem to matter to Bastian that the ferry was literally the size of a cruise liner and you couldn't feel the waves. He'd sat in one place, folded his arms, and kept his eyes shut the entire hour-and-a-half crossing. And driving off the boat once we docked, you'd think he'd been a part of NASCAR. He didn't like boats.